Ken Trahan along with Lenny Vangilder. It's our first NBC weekend preview brought to you by First NBC Bank. With 31 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond, First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNola.com. College baseball postseason tournaments well underway, and as of Friday afternoon, Tulane was still alive, having won an elimination game in the Conference USA tournament.
Yeah, it was basically that. It's pool play, but it was an elimination game. Win or it's over, and Tulane defeated East Carolina 6-5 on Friday. Now they become fans of the Houston Cougars, who are playing Southern Miss Friday afternoon. If Houston can beat Southern Miss, Tulane has life going into the final day of pool play. They basically need, after losing to Southern Miss, 2 wins and 2 Southern Miss losses. Well, they've got one of the wins taken care of. They get that combination, they can make it to the championship. Otherwise, their season's going to be over on Saturday.
LSU, of course, lost to Arkansas. Ryan Stanek stuck it to him. Aaron Nola pitched well, but Paul Maneri did the right thing in not trying to extend him and stretch him out in a game that didn't have that great a meaning for LSU because, realistically, Lenny, win or lose any more games in that tournament, they should be a top 8 national seed.
Exactly. They're going to be. They've got Alabama Friday afternoon. If they win, they come back and play Arkansas again. What's interesting is the 2 undefeated teams left in this tournament, and that's really a misnomer at this point because essentially the tournament has become single elimination for the rest of the way. There's no beating Arkansas twice on Saturday. It's just a single-game semifinal and, of course, a single-game final. Arkansas and Mississippi State are the 2 teams that have gotten to this point. They maybe have the most to play for because if the SEC is going to get 4 host sites, it's LSU, it's Vanderbilt, it's South Carolina, and it may come down to either Arkansas or Mississippi State for the 4th spot. If those 2 teams end up in the final on Sunday, they could be playing for a host spot and a number 1 seed on the line.
And the Bulldogs with the higher RPI and the greater shot at accomplishing that, but stay tuned. Should be interesting to see what happens. The media got their first look at the 2013 Saints full squad via an off-season training activity, a.k.a. OTA. I like initials, right? And we reported on it for you, and I guess the thing you take out of this more than anything else is twofold. One, the mood about having Sean Payton back is unanimous and positive, and 2, Rob Ryan, he's a personality, a strong personality, and he'll make an impact.
He will, and of course, it is just OTAs. It's no pads, but you do have the entire team together, and I think Drew Brees made a good point. This is really the first normal offseason the Saints have had in 4 years. Whether it was coming off a Super Bowl or bounty or, a lockout. This is the first normal offseason the Saints have had in 4 years. And you know what happened 4 years ago. So let's see what the end result is of all of that.
Well, obviously, it's a different place and time. And from 4 years ago, things have changed. Players have changed. We'll see what transpires. Of course, the Pelicans earlier in the week got the 6th overall pick in the upcoming NBA draft. Not what they wanted, but you can get a good player here, namely Damian Lillard last year, Rookie of the Year in the league. But there's some other examples of good players that I cite as well. Danilo Gallinari, Chris Kaman, to name a few. So you can get a good player, even though it's not considered to be a deep draft.
Would Trey Burks slip all the way down to 6? That would be, in my mind, the most intriguing prospect. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, you got Gravis Vasquez, still have Eric Gordon for the moment. Do you really need another guard? Well, you need pretty much, other than Anthony Davis, in his spot, you need pretty much anything at this point. You take the best player that falls to you.
Let's break it down. If you look at this team right now and you consider Eric Gordon, you've got 2 legitimate NBA starters in my mind, Locke Cinch and Anthony Davis and Eric Gordon. Ryan Anderson is too, but he plays the 4, so he has to be a bench player with Anthony Davis. Robin Lopez, you got to get better there. No disrespect. He improved, but he'd be better suited to be a nice, solid reserve. And then you turn to the small forward spot. Al-Farouq Aminu is not a starter in the NBA. You must get better there. And with Gravis Vasquez, he may be a starter in the NBA, but he certainly wouldn't be high level, and he will always struggle to guard quicker guys. That's where Burke comes into play.
Exactly. And, small forward, you see some projections that say Otto Porter could be available there. And there's also people who want to make Otto Porter the number 1 pick in the draft. So the bottom line is it is really wide open at this point of how this whole thing is going to play out. You'll see some trades perhaps, and the way the NBA does them is a lot different than the way you see them in the NFL. A lot of wheeling and dealing, things you won't even find out about perhaps until July. But it's going to be interesting water cooler talk between now and the end of June.
A couple other notes. Zephyrs, well, they won a game and survived an earthquake in Sacramento.
How about that? And they're back home. Hopefully no earthquakes happened when the plane was trying to get out of Sacramento. But back at home actually for 9. Saturday night, get a little bonus baseball because the last time Omaha was in, there was a rain out in the first inning, so they're going to finish that game, take a break, play another game. So, the old doubleheader, you don't see much of those in professional baseball anymore, but the Z's will have one Saturday evening.
Won't see Lewis Coleman here. He got called up by the Kansas City Royals from Omaha, and it's about time with the year he was having in Omaha. And the New Orleans Voodoo will try once more to snap what is now a 7-game losing streak. First time at home, though, in 4 weeks. They get Chicago in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome on Saturday night.
And good to be back at home, but you're right. This is a team that has not played well the last 3 weeks. A little bit better last week. Having your quarterback back makes all the difference in the world. Turn that into a second week with the quarterback back, and who knows, maybe you can break that losing streak.
Yeah, they play like they played last week on the road against a good Spokane team. They'll have a good chance to win against Chicago at home. But the big number, turnovers, minus 17 on the year.
You don't win at any level. High school, college, pro, 100 yards, 50 yards, it doesn't matter. You have minus 17 turnover margin, you're not going to win.
I'm going to stop talking now before I turn it over. Lenny, as always, thanks very much. Have a good weekend.
Hey, have a great Memorial Day. We'll see you. I'll be back in a couple of weeks, and you'll be holding down the fort next week.
I'll try very hard. All right, that's our First NBC Bank weekend preview brought to you by First NBC Bank with 31 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank. For Lenny Vangilder, I'm Ken Trahan. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. God bless you one and all.